Hope Channel, changing lives.
My name is Danswa, and I welcome you to today's edition of Real Talk in the studios of Hope TV Ghana. You wondered why today Evie is not around and you're seeing Danswa, right? I believe that variety is the spice of life, and so sometimes they should bring new people to come and have new experiences. Today's story wasn't only fascinating, but very apoplectic. For once, I was very dumbfounded and lost in the midst of the labyrinth. How on earth could this happen to just a single individual? What at all has this lady done to deserve all these things? I'm sure by now you're babbling in your seat, wondering what Danswa is talking about. Don't worry, we'll get into the story shortly. I obviously cannot have this program alone. I have with me some amazing individuals, very learned, very experienced, and they are here to share their opinions, their views, their perceptions about the story. Joining us in the studio, we have Pastor Neil Ante Thompson, who is a home and family director. Pastor, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How has your day been?
Well, thank God.
What's the expectation for tonight?
Well, to have a wonderful time to share some few real experiences and advice regarding to relations.
Great. Joining us virtually, we have Josephine Fojo, who is a health and security expert, and she's joining us from Dubai. Josephine, how are you doing?
Hi, Danswa. Good evening, and thanks for having me.
How is Dubai?
Dubai is fine, thank you.
Are you ready for the show?
Sure.
Great. Joining us again, we have PK Ofori Asenso, who is also a media personality and a homeland security expert, and he is joining us live from US. PK. Hello, PK.
How you doing, Danswa?
I'm fine. Yourself? How are you doing?
Outstanding, doing well. I'm glad to be on the show tonight. And I'd like to say a big thank you to your platforms and also your producers, Matthew and Sammy, all the way from Columbus.
What are your expectations for tonight?
Well, I'm here to learn. Like I always tell people, whenever we have the opportunity to come on shows as hosts and pundits, it's not because we know better than those who listen to us, but rather we're here to learn from each other and absorb knowledge.
Great. Before we delve deeper into the show, I'd like to remind you that we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Hope TV Ghana. Don't forget to stream. Don't forget to leave your comments at the comment sections, and I'm going to read them out. This story was sent to us by a lady. Now the story. Dear Real Talk, I'm a woman full of pains. I'm so frustrated and terribly hurt. Let's begin this whole issue with my big sis. I was in my final year in SHS when I heard my big sis was pregnant. For me, I had no idea whom the father was. Around that period was when I met my husband just as I entered university. How I got married happens to be an interesting one. In fact, it happened so fast. It happened so fast that I don't remember how I fell in love with my husband. As if I was bewitched thanks to my mom, who was foreheading everything. Fast forward, My mom moved on the recommendation of my husband to help keep or take care of our children and also help her rent because her rent was up. After some time, I realized anytime I come home from work, my husband would be in my mom's room chit-chatting. At first, I saw it to be a good thing since of late you barely see in-laws getting along. But what struck the suspicion was after some time, I often see my husband in and out of my mom's room topless or just in boxer shorts. But you see, this is someone who goes to bed with me in shirts and pajamas. And make matters worse, most of the time, all the decisions in the house were taken by my mom and by my husband. My views were dropped in the bin. I became very suspicious of them both. About a year ago, my big sis moved in also with us as she was no more with her husband, who had sickle cell, with whom she had second born with. Along the line, I noticed my sis was pregnant again 6 months. Already, her first child resembles my husband, so much that even friends who came around said same. How did I get to know my husband was the father of my big sis? I overheard a conversation between my husband and his friend concerning my third pregnancy, according to him. He believes he is not the father of the baby, looking at the time she got pregnant. When the baby was born, guess what? A cardboard copy of my husband. I wish I can type everything here, but it is so much for me. Can you believe at some point in time in our marriage, my husband kept telling me I shouldn't think he has officially married me. He kept uttering these words till I went for a marriage certificate, and to my surprise, it wasn't signed. Upon rushing to the pastor who was supposed to have signed the certificate, the other part of the certificate was that supposed to have been sent to AMA was still in a drawer after 9 years of marriage. Honestly, at this point in my life, I don't even know what to do, whether to leave or stay in the marriage, because I also have 2 kids with him. I really need help because I'm losing it terribly. First, after reading this story, I couldn't just think far. What are your general observations and thoughts about this?
It's very unfortunate for such a young lady to find herself in such a quagmire relationship. It's so clear that she innocently got herself involved in a relationship that was planned by her mother. In reality, if you look at it carefully, you realize that the mother had a pet who happens to be her husband.
Exactly.
And this pet was also in a relationship with the senior sister. But that didn't work. And so, in order to still maintain this pet, the mother handed him over to the junior sister as the husband. But in reality, she can't say she really had a husband. It's unfortunate. And I believe it's something that it is not new. It's been happening. And it is something that young ladies should learn from, especially when mothers are recommending men. You must be careful. Is there any relationship existing between this man
by mother
and mom or auntie? Because in most instances, it's mom or auntie making a recommendation to you just for you to keep her pet for her. And if we can really be more careful in entering into relationships that will end up as a marriage relationship, perhaps we can avoid such an unfortunate situation.
Great. So Pastor is just saying that as young people, we should ask a lot of questions before we even dare to enter a new relationship. Josephine, what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, just as Pastor Thompson rightly said, it's unfortunate. I don't know if I'm to refer her to be a victim of the situation. However, it's already happened, and we cannot really bet our words on the fact that had I known. she's already into it, and obviously 9 good years. So it's not a small joke, or it isn't something she can easily just wake up and pack her bags away. But as Pastor Riley said, this isn't the first time such an incident is happening. And we pray and hope that our words this evening or our contributions would go a far way to help her to make the right decision, regardless she praying or we all praying to help her. And the young ones coming as well will learn from this situation that in everything you do, just as even if you want to invest your money in an account or with any bank, you do your background research and everything before you risk it. And so I don't want to put it as she being blinded or whatever that led to her finding herself in this situation. So I just, it's unfortunate once again. And I pray, and I just pray that one way, some way, somehow, she would be able to find the best solution to get out of this unfortunate situation. Yeah.
So you realize that everything is boiling down to asking questions, doing research. Interesting. PK, what is your take on this story?
So thank you very much for the opportunity once again. In the beginning of your submission, you did make a statement that we're not sure what she has done to deserve all this happening.
Exactly. This is so sad.
And I can tell you emphatically that she has done nothing wrong to deserve anything. Wow. And Pastor Enum Thompson will probably bear with me on this note that a lot of times when things happen to us in life, it's not because we did something. It's just because it just has to happen. And one may question and ask, where was God when this was happening to this innocent lady? When the mom directly and intentionally, deliberately handed over her daughters to the man back to back, including herself. So just that is just out of the way. And I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry, and it's rather unfortunate to the lady for whatever she's going through. But things have to happen for one to use as a tool or as a learning curve in order for it not to happen to another person. That's why in schools we are being taught about histories and also precedents in order not to fall short of the same circumstances. This is rather an unfortunate one, and the mom, to me, will you pay for number one? Pay for to the highest degree. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a prophet, but for you to, deliberately set up your two daughters, and not even just like, I'm used to, Pastor made a statement that this has been happening for a long time. I'm used to the one that I see people tell their daughters, oh, this man got money, go get some money from the man, and let's, use it as a house upkeep. I'm not used to seeing a woman or a mother setting up their daughters for a whole marriage whilst it's bringing forth kids. That is straight up witchcraft right there. When you deliberately know that you have something to do with a man, set up your daughter with it, your older daughter with it, and your younger daughter with it, and for them to have kids, that is straight up witchcraft. And for the young lady in the picture, I know we might have the chance or the opportunity to, dissect it a little bit deeper. But for the young lady in the picture, I'm really sorry. I will be a little bit insensitive over here. She saw the signs on the wall. The moment you saw your husband in the room with your mom, that should give you a first signal. The second time you see your husband coming out of your mom's room, that chested, should have let you know that, hey, this is not the right thing for it, and that you should have made the right decision. And just, times,
Hello, PK. We cannot hear PK, so we are continuing with the show. Pastor, who do you think is at fault? From the perspective PK is coming from, it looks as if the mom is totally at fault. Do you agree with that?
In fact, the mom, it's something that she planned. It's not...
So you think it was cooked?
It was cooked. As I said, she had been in a relationship with this young man. And knowing she's older than him, she wasn't feeling comfortable.
Okay.
Yes, she was not ready to call it a quit.
Okay.
And so to maintain the relationship, she just first planned to get her to the senior daughter, which didn't work out. And then she again handed her over to the second daughter, which was a bit very treacherous.
Very, Pastor. Because I think she should have stuck with the elderly sister, rather than shifting it to the younger sister, because she ended up bringing the two people into the situation, her two daughters. Josephine, who do you think is at fault in this situation?
First of all, the mom, in a way or the other, I would say the girl as well.
Why the girl?
PK was saying something in his earlier submission, but unfortunately he went off. I had the same view as well. As in, many times we see the red flags, but obviously maybe you would say red is your favorite color, so you may just overlook it. So by the time you realize whatever harm that will be caused is already happening, and you would have to pay for it one way or the other. I'm blaming her in that sense because yes, obviously, the beginning of everything is exciting. You are all over the place and you are into the thing. So you are not really paying attention to any other parasites or any other harmful thing on the other side. But just as we said, it's rather unfortunate. I'm really sorry for her. I wouldn't want to wish any lady to experience such a horrible moment.
Not at all, not at all.
It's already happening. So, right now, yes, the mom is to be greatly blamed, but on the girl's side, she should have done better, as in not really taking things for granted, as in, okay, oh, it's a good sign, my mom likes my husband, they have a good relationship, but she could have delved in a bit deeper to find out what is really happening. Yeah, so I think everyone has a role to play one way or the other. Yeah.
Everyone has a role to play in one way or the other. Pastor, in the story, you realize that the man kept hammering, I'm not properly married to you, I'm not properly married to you. What do you think are the right processes to go through before a marriage becomes legit?
Well, as I said, this was something that was planned. And he kept making her aware that should you come across this reality that is existing in our home, I want you to know that I'm not properly married to you.
But Pastor, a pastor was involved because the pastor didn't sign the document. It was kept in his drawer. It means that, doesn't mean that the pastor was also involved in the cooked up plan.
It could be.
Really, a man of God involved in such a scandal?
Since time of, there have always been men of God and pseudo men of God. So that we shouldn't take things for granted. For someone holding the Bible doesn't make him a man of God. You know, it could be that there has been some arrangement with him that, please, we just want this to be a formality.
Okay.
To give the impression that there is a marriage.
But Pastor, don't you think perhaps the man of God just forgot to sign the document?
One. Now, the document was not supposed to be kept in his office, in his drawer. The document was supposed to be submitted to the municipal or metropolitan office. And that is what he failed to do. It could be perhaps also an oversight. Maybe he forgot to do that. Well, from giving him the benefit of doubt, that could also occur. But to have it and be conscious that it is still there 9 years after the marriage,
wow,
gives the impression that
it was cooked.
It was cooked.
So, Pastor, what are the processes that we should go through to make sure that our marriage
right from the start? One may be fortunate or to have someone make recommendation to you, but never take any recommendation from the first level.
Okay.
Be it from a relative, from a church member, from a church leader. Never take it from the first level. First, try to initiate some friendship. Because before you enter into marriage, make sure the one you're going to marry is someone you can call a friend.
Okay.
Try to, and in the course of establishing a friendship relationship, there will be questions, and you try to find out things more about a person, and that perhaps would have given you some clues to know that there is something fishy about this relationship. But to take everything for granted, and just because it's coming from mom, and therefore you not even take time to know the man who is being offered to you, who is going to be your life partner, is very unfortunate.
Interesting. PK, a pastor is being involved in this scandal. Do you think that the lady should take legal actions against the pastor for committing such a hideous crime?
So first of all, let's look at the legalities over here. Where's the crime?
He forgot to sign the papers and he left it in the drawer.
That's not a crime.
Really?
So my little background in law does not allow this to be a crime. That's not a crime. The fact that the pastor may connive or probably be in the same position with the husband not to sign it does not give us enough evidence to make that a crime.
But because the pastor is responsible to sign those documents, he is responsible. Yes. And since he's responsible to do that,
that's why. Let me build my point over here.
Okay, sure.
We don't know that the pastor didn't sign it. What if the guy forged a document and told the wife, "Hey, this is not basically this is the original document"? What if that's not the original document? What if the documents were 3 different documents? The pastor signed one and the other 2 wasn't signed. So in order for us to emphatically say something that has border on the lines of criminality, we have to have all the evidence, and we're not privy to that information. So I will not even make it a crime. Now, hypothetically, right, if that was the case, then we can say that the pastor did not follow protocol formalities. But again, it's still not a crime, because there's no laws that says that, hey, when the pastor does not sign this is what's supposed to happen. There's a formality that says that if pastor is supposed to sign marriage certificate, but the law doesn't say that if you don't sign it, this is what's going to happen. So that is one we have to establish over there. Now, the point that I was trying to make before my line went off, if I am married to you, that's why, and your dad comes to visit, or will live with your dad, and you always go into your dad's room, or I see you coming out of your dad's room with your bra and in tuma around your waist, or you have some boy shorts on, that's why we'll sit down and have a conversation. Okay. There is no, let's talk about it later, right there. They are talking about it. Because we have to fix it whilst it's young before it grows to become a master. So that is why I have the issue with the lady now seeing the signs on the wall. Because those are very, very critical signals that are contributing factors towards the actual situation that you and I are discussing right now. If those issues were being dealt with back then, we would not be here right now. And that is why we should always pay attention to our surroundings. Whether it be a cousin, it doesn't matter. I have a cousin I grew up with, we used to shower together. But you think I'm going to be hanging out with my cousin right now like that? No, she's married, I'm married. We both have different priorities and different privacies right now. So it doesn't go into line with that at all. Now, with the husband has taken advantage over the family with the help of the mom, just like Pastor Thompson said.
Interesting. So PK is saying that we shouldn't turn a blind eye on certain things that we see in our marriages. But then let's go back to the issue of the pastor. Josephine, do you think the lady should take legal action, or she can't take legal action?
Just as PK said, there's nothing to be held on the neck of the pastor, in the sense that probably it's an oversight, an error of omission. He forgot, or no, I just don't want to even throw more light on the pastor here. Now, you, the lady, you are wedded. Well, I, for one, I take notice, I take much attention to every little thing. So that's why it helps you when something is going wrong, you're able to detect it. When it comes to documentation, we don't joke with it. Why can you be married and not pay attention or have a view of your marriage certificate for a good 9 years, and now your husband is coming to you that I didn't sign the marriage certificate in the first place, so we are not really legally married. How can you just overlook such a serious situation or something that has to do with your life? And just as I said from the beginning, obviously she saw the red flags and said red was her favorite color, so she was enjoying the moment. Yeah, you cannot see your mom, your husband coming from your mom's room, not once, not twice, not thrice. It became a usual habit. So at this moment, what do? You confront your mom, which is much closer to you, or you speak to your husband in the first place to find out what is really going on. And so for you to now, sometimes when things happen, we shouldn't really now sit now and be going about looking for who to shift the blames to. You, the person, you should sit down and have a really good reflection and see what best you can do about the situation. Because now you're going to hold the lawyer, the pastor responsible. The pastor cannot be held liable for anything so much at the very moment, because it was your duty as a wife. Right now, if you are to come out, bring your marriage certificate to, maybe you need to go to the embassy, you will need to submit your documents. And now you bring your documents, you take your marriage certificate, only for your surprise, you bring it out and it appears it's not really authentic, or it's not really legitimate for you to use it to apply for your for whatever reason that you need the document for. So in this place, what I take over here is that the pastor had got nothing to do with this. It's you, the lady, find a way of handling the situation. Just like in the Bible, the very moment Eve allowed the serpent to deceive her to eat the apple, and she was also able to convince Adam to eat it. The moment God came into the scene to ask Adam about it, at that moment, Adam obviously would say, okay, if deceived me or led me on, but it's your responsibility. You have the choice to forgo not eating the apple, but you decided to eat it. It was a choice. So at this very moment, you're making that choice. Whatever that comes afterwards, you should be able to face it and approach it amicably, and not to be looking for rooms to shift blames to whoever did this or who never did that. That's my take.
Interesting, Josephine. Thank you so much. At this moment, I'd like to read some comments on Facebook. So Mabna is saying, this world, my dear, remember there's nothing new under the sun. Don't waste your life for such a person. Make your case your priority and happiness and move on with your life. God be your strength. Mami Akosia is also saying, I can't read this alone. Honestly, I think she can't read it alone. And then Hannah Ejubi is also saying, it's sad. God will take care of you, dear. We have Daibol also saying, do everything possible and leave the marriage. Separation would save you. So guys, don't forget that we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Hope TV Ghana. Don't forget to also add your comment to the comment section and I'll read it out. Now let's move on to the multi-dollar question, Pastor. Do you think that in-laws should be allowed to live in the homes of couples?
Well, in reality, there comes moments just like in this case where the mom's rent was due and she was not financially strong, and therefore she came in temporarily for a while. But to be very specific, when God said, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, in essence, the woman is also expected to leave her father and mother. For marriage to be married, there must be that living.
Okay.
If that living is not properly done, the cleaving will also not be properly done. So living is very important, and it is something that we must, despite economic challenges, you know, sometimes young people marry and because they are not ready to rent a home, they move into the parents' home.
Yes.
And continue the marriage. Well, it is not the best. And as much as possible, when you marry, try to be by yourself, because also it gives you some privacy in your marriage. And therefore it is very important that as you planning your marriage, as you planning for marriage, don't also plan that you see yourself married and still stay in your parents' home, because there are rooms, so many rooms there. Make up your mind to move out of your parents' home, and if it is even one room, a single room that you can afford, please move into that single room with your...
But Pastor, you realize that even in Ghana, it's a custom that some men do marry and bring their wives into their family homes. What's your take on that?
Well, it is not the best, and I will never advise such a practice. That's why I'm still insisting that as much as possible, the moment you decide to marry, it means that you've reached an age of maturity where you now will want to make a family on your own. And making the family within your family home is not the best.
Great.
And I will not recommend that.
So Pastor says he's not going to recommend and encourage that. Let's go for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
For the lack of knowledge you will perish, as the Bible says in Hosea 4 verse 6.
The grace, the blood of Jesus is there for us. So I can't be sick, I can't be poor, I cannot suffer affliction.
Jesus told you, be faithful unto death to receive the crown of life. We have to go through tribulation, we have to go through problems, because there will be no crown without a cross.
The verse says that we would go through afflictions because of his name's sake.
Yes.
There are lots of eye-opening discussions to prepare you for the second coming of Jesus Christ. Hope Channel Ghana presents Live in Worship on Saturday, 25th of September at 4 p.m. under the theme Redeeming Love with Pesach Praise. Guest speaker, Pastor Dr. Divine Ayivo.
Come to him, not blaming him. Come to him with gratitude in your heart. Come to him. He wants to reason with you. He wants to fulfill his plan in your life.
This will be live only on Hope Channel Ghana. You can also join us online at Hope TV GH on Facebook and YouTube. You can also download the Hope Channel app from the Play Store and App Store and be part of this worship. Hope Channel, changing lives.
With all of my heart.
This is Real Talk in the studios of Hope TV Ghana. Now, Joseph, before the break, Pastor was sharing his views whether it's prudent for in-laws to live in the homes of couples. What do you think about that?
This question. Okay. Normally, what is allowed is normally when the woman gives birth, that either her mom or the mom's mom will move in to help take care of the baby in the interim, like the early, maybe from the 1st to 3 months.
Yes.
Then, traditionally, she's supposed to move back as to whether it be the woman's mom or the mom's mom. But the moment maybe she overstays her welcome, or it turns out to become her second home or her new home, that's where the problem begins to arise, because maybe there's no provision made for that, and for future uncertainties, it might not help the family, as in the new family coming up. And on the basis of maybe when the parents are aging, Maybe, for instance, if the lady's mom is ill or the dad is ill, the guy's mom is ill, the dad is ill, then they both may sit to come to a conclusion that, okay, because of mom's situation, we will let her move in to be with us for the time being until further notice. So at that moment, you have both agreed that it's going to be for a short period of time or for a particular period of time as to you guys coming out with the next plan of getting a place to have him or her there, having someone to care for your sick mom or sick dad. Because the moment your home becomes their permanent home, I'm sorry, the beginning, things will seem to be all right and all that, but we are human. Sometimes we just have to face reality. We sometimes get fed up having people in our spaces and all that. So to avoid any future problems or whatsoever, if it's not in any of these contexts that I've mentioned, that the lady had birth and that the mom, as the guy or the lady's mom coming in to be of support, I don't think it's advisable to have any of the parties' parents with them.
It is not advisable to have your in-laws in your homes. PK?
Yes, so I'm glad that Josephine made a lot of good points concerning that part, because Pastor was more talking about couples bringing their spouses in their family homes, and Josephine went the other route of rather bringing the parents in their marital homes. So that's the direction I was going to go. But since you already hit on that part, sure, I'm going to leave that as such and move to what I wanted to say. But before I even go to what I want to say, Josephine made a point of like, oh, when they live with people, sometimes you get fed up with me. If I live with my mom for 100 years, I'll be fed up. If I live with my dad for 100 years, because they never got fed up living with me. And they're like, in our part of the world where I live right now, sometimes we, the couples, are the one that request. I don't even say sometimes. 99% of the times, we, the couples, are the one that request for our parents and our in-laws to come live with us. So it's not necessarily like, hey, the parents are trying to push the way through and they are invading into our privacy and our space. But rather, it was like, you know what, mom and dad retired, we need them our way so that they can help us take care of the kids, because it's very, very expensive to send these kids to school and daycare at the same time. So when they do, it helps us a lot for us to save money and at the same time also give them some good upbringing. Maybe some of the things that we cannot tell them because the kids may not, maybe we've grown to understand the culture of wherever we live. So we're not really pushing down the Ghanaian culture that the kids know. But the parents, which is the grandparents, will be able to do that without it being a problem. So I, for once, I love the idea of you living with your parents if they're aged, like Josephine said, or you just had a baby and you need somebody to give the real bath to the baby. I, for one, I'm with that idea for all day long. But as to parents coming through and, abusing the marriage, because if you come and you try to go the next thing, and they mean you don't grab you. I don't even care if my mom or my dad, if you try to invade in my marriage without maybe it was an abuse and you try to step in, but rather, oh, in the Mundi body, oh, it's not Mundi Jollof. No. That will not help. That will not happen in my house. You will just come and eat whatever we are all eating. And if
okay, before we go to the biblical aspect of the story, I would want to ask Josephine. Josephine, do you think the lady can sue her husband for this? Josephine?
To be really honest to this question, I wish I could say yes, but is it really necessary? Right now, what she should really focus on is herself and her two innocent children. There's more to life than to beat yourself over something that is not worth it. It's been 9 good years we are talking about. My dear, a lot of women are going through a lot. And it's rather unfortunate we find ourselves in a society that, due to stigmatization and what people will say, what are people going to do, and all that, people are really held to their shelf and are not able to speak out and are enduring that, okay, because of the kids, let me stay because of the kids. But because of the same kids, my dear, please seek for your health, your peace of mind, your life, your sanity is at stake here. So there's not much she can do. If there's anything that would be done, I would advise maybe they can seek for separation, not to really go completely as to the final declaration, as we all know, the divorce. But then they can seek for separation so that she can really put herself into order. So as to seeking the right support and help from it being counselors, therapists, whoever can come into the scene to be of support to her, to be able to get a hold of herself and to understand the happenings around her. Then she can take the next step. But for now, as to thinking of suing and whatnot, I would say she should really seek for herself first and her children. Just like when you're on the flight, they used to say, when there's any emergency, save yourself first before you can be of help to somebody. So if you're not okay, how can you be there for your kids? So she should first think about herself. This is not about being selfish, because she's going through a lot already. And so to be on the safer side, she should really find herself out of this whole drama and this whole situation, and let's see how best things can transpire afterwards with the right support and assistance that can come to her availability. Yeah.
Sure. Pastor, do you think the lady should leave the marriage, and what does the Bible say about this?
Well, in the first place, was there a marriage? And that is one thing we must ask ourselves. Because, as I said, for a marriage to exist, there must be a living, there must be a cleaving, and there must be oneness.
Exactly.
But you see right from the start that there was no living. Now, if you were talking about suing, but I think that was why the husband was prompting her that, I want you to know that there has not been any marriage. There has not been any contractual relationship between us. So if you're going to court, on what basis are you going to court? Because the courts definitely will depend on the contract that was signed. But here we are, there is nothing
like marriage.
Like marriage that has been. Therefore, as Josephine said, what is right for her now is to separate and try to see how best she can put things in order, especially for herself to be able to get over this situation.
Issue. PK. Yeah, just
yeah. So can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. So based on what just went down, I bet to differ a little bit with what Josephine said, in terms of, just take care of yourself and maybe
move on,
and the kids and stuff like that. Me, I believe in Papa Nisha Boninyashri. Sometimes you have to deal with people in a certain way they would never do to another lady or another person. Like I said, I don't see any criminality when it comes to the pastor and the case, but there is a criminality when it comes, because there's a scam. Okay, what the lady thought was is not what it is. It's out of Wanumas, yes, summer in your dancing, you can't maybe they are dancing. It's Wanumas in the business society, so she should take the words of what the lady is saying, and push it forward. I mean, sometimes you have to just, I love it when people test the law. Just test the law and see what happens. If you're damaged, you may come on, once you're the rest of your life. And next time, be best transfer and your shanyans. Oh, yeah, that could be a kiosk. No, what you have said because you're BT.
Okay. Interesting. Pastor, what do you think should be done to resolve the issue between she and her sister? Because she realized that after this issue, there's going to be a huge tension between them.
In what way? You know, the sister, from the narration, you realize that the sister was in the relationship, and even while she was still married, she was still
in the relationship. Yes. It means the sister knew about what was going on.
Exactly. And so it's something that, well, maybe she was the only innocent party. But
the sister?
The elder sister, the mother, and the man,
they knew what was going on. But then I don't think the elderly sister knew about the mom's affair with the husband. I doubt.
Well, because now if she doesn't, then perhaps we'll ask how she still is in a relationship with this same man. Yes, he happened to be the father of your first child.
Yes.
And you got married. You got married with someone who also seemed to have some sickling
blood
cells, and perhaps she was also AS, and that led to the SS child. That's unfortunate too, but that was not enough grounds for leaving a man to come to the sister's house and to have another continue that old diabolic relationship with this same man.
Now let me read some comments from Facebook. Jamara is saying, this is called Akani Akaba. This world is not fair, cry. Very, very sad. Besmakasari, he's also saying family. Becky is also saying leave. Run as fast as your legs can carry you. This is no marriage. Jemima is also saying, what's this world turning out to? Abominations upon abominations. God have mercy. Josephine, do you think there should be some kind of resolution between the sister, the elderly sister, and the lady?
That will come into play, but PK said something. PK, I'm really riding with you as to that thing you said, that phrase. Papa Nyeshi, yes, I'm for that 24/7. But you see, we are in a society, and especially in our church, that normally when something happens, the public or others do not really have much in depth of the situation, but it's what action or whatever you do, that is what will catch everyone's attention. Oh, so she left her man, she did this, she did that. That's why I first proposed that even if the final decision will come, it has to go through the right procedure. Like it should start from somewhere. She should first seek for her sanity and her life. Once she have that, everything will take its right course. And about the resolution between her sisters and her mom, well, I, for one, I don't do anything like whether you're my mother, you're my sister, you're my blood. When you really hurt me that deep, I ain't gonna disown you or anything of that sort. But then, yeah, that line has been drawn. You have really exceeded it. We are going to be leaving, but now I have my reservations, and I'm going to keep so many things to myself. If there's anything I can do for you, I will do. But then, I'm sorry, we cannot have it like. Maybe I don't know if it's going to be like a Cain and Abel, but seriously, sometimes we have to face reality. We are all human beings. Just as PK said, maybe you may be able to endure it, but somebody innocent out there might not be able to stand it. Not everyone is able to stand situations, horrifying situations like this. If God is not on your side, you might end up losing your life, or the worst can come. You can have some sicknesses that will damage your life for the rest of your life. And the funny thing, these people will be moving on. They will be living their lives, and you become a victim for the rest of your life. Already, a lot has been done. You've been a victim. You've been living in the unknown, and what else do you have to? What do you have to wait for? That is what I'm saying. At this very moment, pick up the pieces. Just look into yourself and say, okay, after all, you still have you. You still have those innocent children for you. Seek for your sanity, and just pack yourself somewhere so that you'll be able to have a clearer view of the whole thing, what is happening. Maybe because you are in the house and because it's all happening around you, you might not be able to really put your head together and really come to a conclusion as to what to really do. So at this very moment, you might even resort to any advice that will be given. Do this, do that. But this very moment, just like Hannah and Sarah did, just this is a moment for you. If there hasn't been any moment that you've spent so closely with God, do that this time around. Ask Him to really direct you and really help you to get yourself out of this whole unfortunate, horrifying situation. And I believe strongly that whatever it is, it's going to be okay with her. Others have gone through worse than this, and yeah, just as I said from the beginning, it's really, really rather unfortunate. No human being should be able to go through this, because in the end, you ask yourself, it is done to you, will you be happy? So if you wouldn't be happy, why? But unfortunately, then again, we are in a world that people really are not that sensitive to what they do to others, but what they will get to benefit to themselves. So my dear, what I would say is that she should just focus on herself at the very moment, seek God's help. As to forgiveness, it will happen. But forgetting or having to relate to them as a mom and a big sister, only God can tell and herself. Thank you.
Thank you. Just finished saying focus, and move on. And Pastor, you made mention of something that there is no marriage. But Pastor, you realize that in the typical Ghanaian concept, we have something called the engagement. That's the traditional marriage. Is that not marriage in essence?
You see, what I mean is that now, for marriage to be real, there must be living, and then there must be cleaving. That's technically. But in this case, there wasn't the living. Now, it could. What I mean here is that the mother had a relationship with this young man. If she was ready to let this young man marry her daughter, then she must put an end to that relationship.
Exactly.
Then she would have allowed the young man to go and marry the daughter, and then they can stay peacefully. But it was just a cover-up.
But the lady didn't know about it.
And that's where it's unfortunate that she was so naive. And what went on all around her, she couldn't even see any of these indicators all around. But it was so glaring. And she should be having smart enough to
have noticed
that no, there's something wrong.
PK, do you also think there was no marriage?
Wow, that's a very good question. For the first time, you got me thinking about a question. That's a very good question. Technically, again, technically, in the eyes of the lady and the man, there was a marriage and there was no marriage. But based on what we are privy to right now, I don't call that as marriage. I call that as basically what they used to do back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, 90s, which is the arranged marriage. So the mom pretty much knew what was going on. The guy knew what was going on, but the only two people that was stabbing the deck was basically the sister and the lady we're talking about right now. So it's very sad and unfortunate, but you know, I think maybe this should be used as a precedent for future references.
Great. Since Josephine is the only lady in our midst, I would want to ask her this question. Josephine, what do you think the lady should do? What should she do finally?
Okay, so in every situation, in this situation, it's clearly saying that she has been living in deception and she has been a victim all throughout. Though she could have done better, reading or taking everything into consideration or paying close attention to everything happening in the marriage right from the word go. But just as she said, everything happened in a rush. She was in love, she was happy, she has a man and all that. Okay, unfortunately, we are here now. And in this situation, it's one thing when the perpetrators, this man and the wife, the mom and all that, whoever is in play, it's one thing if they are being sorry and remorseful and regret whatever they have done and are willing to make things right. But in this case, I beg to differ. Is there anything like that? No. No one is coming to you to apologize to you. That the guy is not coming to say, okay, well, it's rather unfortunate you have been a victim. I'm sorry, but okay, forgive me. I'm willing to make things right and let's fix this. And it's the other that he doesn't really care. He told her, hey, my dear, don't waste your breath. There hasn't been any marriage in the first place because I haven't signed the documents and all that. So that's what I'm saying. Very humbly, she should think about herself, because these people don't have you at heart. They don't have any good intentions for you. The guy, your husband, if there was a marriage in the first place, the guy, your mom, your sisters, they are seeking for their best interest. So whatever be her mom reason why she had to work this whole chemical reactions to come into force, to bring this whole drama into being, only God knows. But as it stands, as I said, unfortunately, here we are now. What do? Are you going to stay for the next 9 years praying and thinking things are going to be better? That we cannot all not tell. So that's what I'm saying. She should humbly, I'm pleading with her. I need her to be alive for her children. She should think about herself, focusing on herself, seek the necessary help she can resort to, and let life take its own course. Karma really exists. So whoever did what or who didn't do what, everybody is going to have their share of the cake one way or the other. So she should just pay attention to herself. Yeah.
Can we get your final words and any special greeting for a loved one?
Thank you, Hope TV, for this opportunity for us to come together to share our knowledge and to be of help to ourselves. Just as PK said, we all come together to learn. And so as we part, I wish us all well, and I pray that may we all find ourselves in good health, and may we all meet again in love and in happiness once more. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Josephine. PK, can you get your final advice and any special greeting for your loved one?
Yes. Thank you very much, Danswa. My final advice is, I pray that the good Lord will give us the mind to settle and see through evil plans. May He give us the eyes to see things beyond imaginations, and be able to read the signs on the wall, because that is what we learned from today. My special greetings go to Pastor Enel Thompson. I've known this man since I came to Ghana at the age of 6 years, from Liberia days to Ghana, from Dansuma Church all the way through now. He's been looking the same since I met him when I was 6 years old. And so you just imagine, almost 30 years down.
Wow,
man is still looking the same. Another one goes to my dad and my mom, Edda and Mrs. Ofori, and to me, and all my siblings, as well as my wife and my 3 beautiful kids, my in-laws, and everyone around me. All I want to say is a big thank you to also Sammy of Columbus SDA Church, and also Matthew. Such a great people, man. God bless us all.
God bless you for joining.
And Danswa, to yourself too.
Oh, thank you, PK. Pastor, your final advice and any shout out.
Well, my final advice will be that as people in relationship, let us be mindful of what we're doing. And let us also know that as we're thinking of a relationship that will end up in marriage, there is some sort of permanency that should exist in marriage. Hence, let us do in due diligence in terms of who we are befriending, and make sure we really know and we can testify of who we call a friend, and we can indeed marry a friend to the glory of God.
Thank you, Pastor. Thanks for joining.
Welcome.
I'd also want to use this opportunity to say hi to Stephanie Nadu Inchi. May God be with you and see you through whatever that you have on your mind and you've been destined to do. So Hope TV, Hope Channel Ghana presents Pesach Praise live in worship on Saturday, 25th September at exactly 4 p.m. under the theme Redeeming Love. The guest speaker will be Pastor Dr. Divine Aivo, and this will be live only on Hope Channel Ghana. You can also join online at Hope TV Ghana on Facebook and then on YouTube. I would like to encourage you all to send our stories via WhatsApp, via email, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and trust me, we are going to find you amazing panelists to help you solve your issues, because we believe that a problem that is shared is half solved. Thank you all for joining, and may God bless us all. Bye.